Okay, this is Sheila Wolk, and I'm going to be showing you a little flip book of my second volume 2, my Mermaid Fantasy Art Adult Coloring Book. I hope you can hear me, and I'm going to try and do this a little quicker than what I did before. So, alrighty. Opening the book. Oh, here's the back. And here's some of the other books I'm going to be releasing later during the year. And this is the mermaid book. The first one I did was the fairy book. And I did a flip book, so you can go into my YouTube and see the flip book on that one. This is me. You don't need to know about that. This is going to be on the front of every book. This is where you color it, and then you put in your name here. That, you know, you're the one that colored the book. Okay. I think I'm pretty well known for this piece, Metamorphosis. I'd love to sit and tell you about each piece, but then this would be a forever film, so let's get on with it. I might come back and tell you a little bit more later. It's 100 Tears, and I really would love for you to use your imagination with the colors. You don't have to color it like I painted them. Although, you know, you can, if you want to Google me, you'll see what they look like if you don't know what my art looks like. And there's about 500,000 pictures up in Google of my paintings. You'll see them all in there eventually. Ecstasy. Okay. I have a painting similar to that called Spiritus. Not Spiritus. I'll think of it later as we go. It's in here, Dreamkeeper. The little baby. It's the first time I ever did a little mommy and baby. This is Celestial Waters. And this is when the earth and the sky and the sea meet each other. Those are little stars reflecting in the water. Each book comes with 2 of each, in case you want to color with friends, or you belong to a group, or if you want to do it in different colors. Mer Preserve. Now, wouldn't you love to have this in your kitchen? A little mason jar with a mermaid in it, and have little frogs visit. That's what I mean by imagination. It's so much fun. Okay. This is Rapture. I used to belong to a very quite a few well-known galleries in Soho, and they were constantly asking me to keep doing the mermaids with the fish, because they became very popular very fast. Thank goodness, helped me pay the rent, right? Everybody's got to pay the rent. Elan Vital and Wally Wood. This was a story I wrote about a mermaid about to give birth, but there was a penalty. If you were going to see her give birth, you would have to surrender your eyesight after that, so you could never see again. And there was a witness that did do that. I do have stories with my paintings, and they're a lot of fun to read. They're in my coffee table book, by the way. This is so pretty, Eternity. And I do have figurines that go with a lot of these mermaids. Eternity in fields of green, circle sorrows in between. Quietly it's juxtaposed. Trickle sorrows, blush of rose. It's pretty poetry I wrote with that. I write in old world style, but I can talk slang with the best of them. This was a wonderful client of mine. These are her grandchildren. And I was very honored when she came and asked me to do the portraits of her children as fantasy creatures. And we did have a lot of fun. Max and Amanda in the land of Mer. The Playpen. I did another painting called the Cradle, and this was going to be the companion piece. I never painted this one yet, but I'm going to. It's up on my work shelf. Very intricate. When I do it, it's all going to be white on white seashells. When you do it, it should be all different colors. Fun. As a baby likes colors. Quietude. I just came out with a figurine with this one. I drew these sideways so you could have more room to color. Right? My original paintings are usually 5-6 feet large. Takes me a year. Sometimes with the fairies, when they get really intricate, it takes me about 2 years for each painting. So don't tell me you spent, oh boy, 3 weeks on a piece or 3 days and you're tired. Took me a year to come up with the idea, a year to paint it. Here's the other one, the Cradle, that is a painting that I did the other piece as a companion. This one sold years ago. Baby blues and pinks, if you need a hint. This has a story. Waiting in the Rainbow Pool, and the next one is Pulse of the Pond. Okay? I had a client that called me after I was in a very bad accident, really bad accident. Let me focus out a little bit. I don't know if I can. I can't. And if you can see, I have stitches from here to here and pins with 12 screws and a plate holding my hand back on my wrist. And this hand was in a cast also. But as I was healing, I got a phone call from this client that said she wanted to commission me for 2 mermaids because she owned a few other pieces that she found in some galleries. And I told her about my accident. She said, if I'm your last customer ever, please paint me this diptych and I'll pay you. And I said, well, if I were to entertain it, you'd have to give me this certain amount for a down payment. And when I paint, it's usually in the mega thousands. So I told her the price just for her to hear me discuss it with her. And if she were to commission me, I would apply that to the art. And if not, I would return her down payment. She sent me more. She says, no, I'm serious. So this was a diptych that went into her home. And the flavor of the two, you can see they're companion pieces. So she's holding, the lotus like an umbrella, and she's holding under the lily pad like an umbrella too. And it really worked out well. It's a beautiful diptych, and she's so thrilled. And I'm happy that she owns it. And she got me into painting again. This happened 6 years ago with my accident. My other client, this was her grandson. It's rare, but she's a little merboy, right? I love that piece. Kindred Spirits. This is an angel guarding over the mermaids. So I figured that would be really cool to incorporate the angels with the mermaids. Let me know if you like this. You can find me on Facebook. I'm on Instagram too, but I rarely go in there. All right, Sheila, wet your fingers, separate the page. There we go. This, I used to be a sports artist, well known around the world for 23 years. Long story short, I retired from it. But it was very rare I ever painted a Caucasian unless they were a superstar. But most superstars in most sports were of color. And this is a beautiful color mermaid, a little mermaid of color I did. But one day when I was doing the other fantasy art, a client wrote to me, actually giving me hell, that I did not paint fantasy of color. They rarely saw any color mermaids or Hispanic or people from darker skin. And I said, obviously you don't even know who you're talking to. So here she is. Siren Song was her name. This is Mirage. Mirage had all coral in the background, but I figured that would drive you crazy, so I put a starfish and 2 little fish in instead. And then this is an abalone shell, like the colors of a rainbow. It's like, go to hell with yourself with color, have fun. And she will sparkle, and that's where she's sleeping. Almost done, hooray. Spiraling, that's the, this is the companion piece too. Metamorphosis. They were in the gallery together and they sold right away. Funny story about Metamorphosis. In this, I was on Park Avenue going to a gallery, and they turned me down saying, number one, you work in pastel dust. They're very large. Nobody will buy it. Paint in oils and we'll sell it like crazy. Number two, nobody will buy a mermaid. So I ventured downtown to Soho. I live in Manhattan. and they took me right away. And everything I did sold right away. The mermaids sold right away. And I put my name on my map with the Metamorphosis. This is an interesting piece, people. This is the first painting I ever did in fantasy. When I gave up sports, and then I was in fine arts for a while, that didn't work because I didn't have a sponsor. And I had many talks with the Metropolitan Museum that called and said to me, if you really got it with real fine art, but you need to be stipend and paid your rent and everything, do you have a sponsor? And I said no. So I started crying because the little bit of money I had when my mother passed away, I spent on that other show, and I went broke. So I painted this. I just felt like I was dying in the pool of my lonely tears, and I painted this mermaid dead. And it's called the Lace Mermaid because I said, this is just the end of the story of the mermaids. It sold right away. And then a client said, you keep painting fantasy, we'll keep buying. And that's what happened with my career. And I better hurry up. This one's longer than the other one in the fantasy book, and I didn't mean it to be. Last 4 pieces in the book, fish pieces, because every time I had a show and I figured you would enjoy it, I would do a few mermaids and then put a fish piece in between, a few more mermaids and put a fish piece. So these 4 paintings in the back of the book are all different fish paintings, which is a lot of fun if you can go into Google and see all the different colors of lily pads and the koi fish. Oh, and let's talk koi fish, right? They're the friendliest little fish or big fish you'll ever find, and you can name 1 or 2, and if you constantly, when they come over and you feed them in the pond and you keep saying their name, you can go in and call their name next time and they'll come swimming at you. They learn their names. Now, how many of you know how to speak fish? I don't know, but they're smart enough to speak English and know their name to make us happy. In the back, you get a couple empty pages to test out your colors. I do not recommend alcohol magic markers, and if you do that or watercolor, put boards or sheets of paper in between, or cut them out and paint it separate so it doesn't hurt the other pages. Blank on the side if you do an experiment with colors. I mean, things that seep through, you wouldn't hurt the drawing on the other side, so I omitted that. Anyway, that's the second book, and as a reminder, this was the first. The spines are going to be colors. This is, the mermaid is green, and the fairy is blue. And we have more coming out, like I said. Even the backs are different. So this one has fish, and this one has the grass for the little fairies. Okay, till we meet again, let me end this, and then I'll put it up on YouTube. And thank you for looking at my coloring books. See you later. Bye.